And so people are thinking you're healed because they did not see the aneurysm on the test. Okay, you're laying in the hospital. What happens?
Okay, they finally released me about 6 hours later to go home. So I went home, and they told me to just kind of be on bed rest for till the next morning. And so we got up that morning, and we went and had lunch and everything, but I still couldn't eat or anything, and I was still dizzy, and everything was still the same, you know. And so we got back to our house, and I called the doctor that I worked for, and I told him what the results was and that I'd be back to work on Monday. And he could not believe it. He was just like, I don't think so, you know, and all this. But anyway, then we just kind of went on the phone with a different conversation, and I started laughing. The aneurysm ruptured.
Oh, no.
So my husband happened to be there with me, and the 2 boys. And so I just immediately just started screaming because it's just like a bomb explodes in your head. And I suffered a stroke. It just went down the right side. I felt it just with all the pain in the head. It went down the right side of my arm, and it shot out like fire. It was that devastating, that stroke was, with that bleed. And they came up with that I was inoperable, and you know, nothing could be done about it. They were just to the point where if they done the brain surgery, you know, went into the head, that would kill me, and that it would just be better to just let me be stable as long as I was stable, instead of them risking, you know, them doing something more harm to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was at the point we were at that time. And but during the hospital stay, we were able to meet so many people while I was here in Greenville, you know. It was ironic how I always kept my door open, you know, to my room.
Yes.
And so many people that was visiting other patients would just drop in. They would be lost or something, and I would start testifying to them about what happened, and they would just be in shock. Yeah, they would just be in shock because it was like they couldn't believe I was talking, and because at first I couldn't talk loud. I just could barely whisper, and I was in the bed. I couldn't walk or anything, you know, after all that happened. But I was still able to testify and tell people about how they had to get their life right. You know, I said how fast things can happen.
Yes.
Any minute, but people don't think about it.
No, they've heard it.
And see an invalid, and they didn't know they were coming to see somebody that was going to be preaching to them, because everybody that walked in the room, I was like, are you ready? Yeah. You got to be ready. Even the ones that I thought, I mean, I'm sure they were Christians, you know, but I was just like, you got to be ready. Make sure you're ready, because you could just, anything could happen. You could have a car wreck, anything could happen. You have, make sure you're ready, because I didn't want to see anybody die and not go to heaven, you know. And we were able to, my husband and my mother, you know, they would help me because I couldn't walk, and they would visit the rooms that was on neuro unit and trauma, and hand out crosses, because the ladies ministry at our church had made some little crosses and had little Bible scriptures in them, and they would hand those out, and I would hand them out from my room. All the doctors got them. All the residents got them, anybody, because I knew a lot of those people, and in fact there was a group from Charleston Medical University, a lot of the students there were walking by one day, and one looked in, and they was like, Amanda, because, you know, they had come through our office before when they were training, and I was like, and they couldn't believe that had happened to me.
It's quite different being the patient
right,
as opposed to the professional. How about the medical staff that treated you during this time period? Did you find that many were Christian?
I did. It was amazing, the people that I would talk to, even like the ones the maids and all that would come in and that would just take their time, you know, because I like to get to know people and to talk to them, and a lot of them that would come in the rooms, CNAs or whatever their titles were, you know, not just the RNs, but just all of them, you know, just come in and just take the time and sit on the end of the bed, and we'd talk, and sometimes I would find that they had a loved one that had something similar that happened. Maybe they lost them, you know, years ago, or, you know, I had this one nurse that her son had passed away years, you know, way before that with the same type, you know, an aneurysm. And she and I talked a lot about it, and I think I helped her in some way, you know. Sometimes I feel guilty in a way, I don't know why, but I do, because something will come up, I could be in a restaurant or a grocery store or whatever, and somehow I'm able to give my testimony. The Lord always works it out, you know. I don't know how, but He always works it out, and they'll tell me that they, you know, may have lost a child or a grandchild or a sister or a brother or something that way, and sometimes I feel like, you know, like, Lord, you know, I don't know all these people, you know, you took them suddenly and you kept me here, and sometimes I feel like, you know, what if these people are like, why, you know, why did you do that to me and not to her, you know, but I think that I start looking at it in a different light, that maybe I can help them still, you know. Absolutely. Even though they lost their loved one, you know.
Is it during this hospitalization that you were unable to attend your daughter's graduation?
No, it was the second one when I had the surgery that after this one they released me to go home actually to die, because they could not do anything and they'd done everything they could do, and he told me that morning, because I smiled all the time, and he was just like, he wanted to make sure, my doctor did, that I knew that I was probably going to die, you know, and I said, yeah, I understand. So they sent me home on Saturday. So the next Sunday I was back up there with another bleed. And at that time they done the craniotomy the next day, the whole brain surgery, the whole thing, you know. And they took the complete blood vessel out, which is in the area that controls the motor skills on the right side of your brain. So by medical, you know, terminology and all, I should not be able to walk or talk or do anything that has motor skills.
Or sing so beautifully.
And I should not be able to sing. In fact, I was told I would never sing again, because even when I started talking again, I only could whisper, and the left vocal cord is supposed to be completely damaged. And so I was told I would never sing again. So when anybody I used to be real modest about, you know, with anybody, oh, I enjoyed your singing, but now I'm just like, thank you, because I know He did this, you know, and I'm not going to take anything away from what the Lord done. Yes. But yeah, I was, the second one after they done the craniotomy and everything, and I pulled through it so well, they was not expecting that at all. And so my daughter graduated a year early. That was surprising that would happen. But my family, they didn't know what to do. But I encouraged them all to go, since I couldn't be there. And I knew that the nurses was going to be in there to talk, and all these people walking it down the hall. But anyway, they always left the TV on Nightline for me. We always watched Nightline. And so I got the phone that day, and I just called, and a lady answered the phone, and I just started telling her my story, kind of like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And she just talked with me, and she didn't get in a hurry to rush me or anything, and we just talked about it, you know, and before it was over, I think I had told her my life history, and then we was talking about hers too. But I just, like when I wrote y'all the letter, I thank the Lord for, you know, to have a station like this, you know, that would be there in a time like that, because I was so hurt that day. Through it all, I don't think I ever just sit and cried over self-pity or anything like that, you know, but it was always for my family and for other people. I think God just laid me down to look up at that point in my life, you know, and to realize that things before that you don't, you know, we take for granted every day, that are just precious gifts from Him, you know, that we are so fortunate to have, you know, and I knew then that I was so fortunate to be able to pick up a phone and be able to call.
Without an appointment needed.
Right. And no charge and no hurry, and she talked with me, and we talked, I have no idea how long, but we talked for a long time, and she prayed with me, and it helped so much, because I was in tremendous pain, and I had shaved head and staples.
Oh, you have such beautiful
all
hair.
that stuff, and at that time many women would be very discouraged, and I was very discouraged, and especially not to be able to attend my daughter's graduation. But that was that'll always stand out in my mind. You know.
What a battle. But look how strong you are now. I mean, you are dynamic, and the ability to sing. I mean, when they've told you you won't be able to sing, when did you realize that you would get your voice back, enabling you to minister in song?
Well, whenever the doctor told me that, I just, in fact, they let the doctor that I worked with come in and talk to me about that because we were friends, you know. And immediately I would start singing songs I knew, you know, in my head, not out loud. And then when people wouldn't be around, I would kind of sing them in a whisper, and I was like, oh Lord, I don't want to be able to do this again. And but every day I would tell my doctors, you know, I would ask them, I said, I wish that you know, if there was anybody out there that had ever been through this before could come and talk to me. And I know not many people live through those things, you know, and I understand that. And so the doctors would kind of push that away, you know, and they'll kind of tell you, if you need to talk to somebody, we can get the chaplain or a counselor. Of course, that's what they're going to tell you. And I was like, no, I would really like to talk to somebody that's been through it, you know. And that never happened for me. So I just promised the Lord, I said, if I ever get out of here and I'm able to, I'm going to go out and talk to people that are going through these things, that are terminally ill and have no hope of life, because I only had a 5% chance to live. And I'm going to tell them, you know, I don't even hardly have to say a word when I walk in the room. And most of the time they know before I get there that I'm coming, and they already have heard, you know, a little bit about the testimony. You just wouldn't believe the look on the faces of these people, and it's just tremendous.
Mm-hmm. But during the course of your hospitalizations, you found out you had other physical problems, isn't that right?
Yeah. I found out that I had lupus, and that was in stage 4, which I wouldn't accept, because they was wanting to treat me for that too, and at the same time they were already telling me that I was not going to, you know, most likely I was not going to live because I only had 5% chance to live on account of the aneurysm disease. So I just refused. He was telling me, the doctors were telling me that if they treated me, it would disfigure me, and
that's right.
And which I seen that in patients, you know. And I just held my arm up, and I told him, I said, I will not accept those diseases. I said, God, I know He's touched me, you know, because I'm still here.